We're going to stick with the college basketball. Hit you with an angle that you probably haven't heard in a lot of places. But, Rob, I was looking at watching Zion Williamson as he came back for the ACC tournament. Think about this. This guy was out for, 3-4 weeks, probably 3 weeks. Comes
what
back.
They have, I think the final 5 games, is that what it was? Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 5 games. 6 games, because they went 3-3 without him. And that's a little deceptive just because 2 of the losses were to North Carolina.
North Carolina is very good.
North Carolina could be the best team in the country. So,
well, right now, if you want to bet them in a tournament, it costs you a ton of money.
Right. So they're not quite a 500 team without Zion, but they're clearly not as good with him. I mean, with him, I think they were 25-2 or something like that. Without him, 3-3. But anyway, Rob, he comes back. He plays as many minutes as necessary. He averages 27 points, 10 rebounds, scored the most points in ACC tournament history in a 3-game tournament, and shot something like over 70% from the floor.
Man.
It was ridiculous. He was just literally, it's a cliche, but he was a man amongst boys.
I'm happy, Chris, that my whole thing was, if he's healthy, I'd love to see him play in a tournament, as we go forward.
Right.
This is what I wanted to see, because I felt like he had a chance to win a championship, with Duke and the team that he has. So I'm happy. A, he was fully healthy,
right,
felt good, and made his own decision and said, hey, I'm good, I'm going to play. And B, to get back out there, I just think it's great, because that's what the kid, he's a basketball player.
It is great. And like you said, my main concern was his health, and if he's 100%.
I said once he's healthy, go play. Absolutely. That's what you do.
He became one of only 2 freshmen, I should say. One of only 2 freshmen ever to average at least 25 points and 10 rebounds in their conference tournament. Not ever, but over the last 20 seasons.
Okay.
And that's a minimum of 3 games played in the tournament. You want to guess who the other one is?
What was it, 25
I'll give you
points?
a hint. He's got 2 championships. He's in the NBA right now, has 2 championships. 25. He averaged 25 and 10.
Durant?
Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Remember, he was a beast for Texas.
I remember
they didn't
that.
go deep in the tournament.
But he was a monster.
Right.
I remember that.
And
he was way skinnier.
Right, they're like the opposites.
Wow.
I'm going to throw this out at you. And before people flip out, I'm gonna give, a fact that'll calm people down.
Because people are going to flip out what you're about to say.
Is Zion Williamson the best or most dominant freshman in college basketball history? And before people throw out Lou Alcindor, remember, until 1972, freshmen could not play on the varsity team. And there's obviously that big story about Kareem going to UCLA, and UCLA's varsity was the best team in the country, had this great winning streak, and he led the freshmen to victory over them in practice. Like, they were the freshman team was better, but he couldn't play varsity.
Is that unbelievable?
Ridiculous. Remember, at one point they had a rule you couldn't dunk.
Right. Well, we know what that was.
Yeah. And
I never liked that. That was ridiculous.
Now I'm asking the question. Some of the names: Carmelo Anthony, 22 points, 10 rebounds a game at Syracuse, led them to the national title. Michael Beasley was a monster as a freshman. Kevin Durant, we mentioned. Kenny Anderson.
You forget about Michael
Ewing.
Beasley. Yeah,
Beasley was, and obviously, hadn't done much in the NBA, but Patrick Ewing. So there are a lot of people that you can look at, but I think Zion has to be in the conversation.
What about Carmelo Anthony?
Freshman.
Now Carmelo, because he had such a great run in the tournament and won it for Syracuse. Jim Boeheim's been coaching for 93 years now, and he's won 1 championship thanks to Carmelo Anthony.
Yes.
Think about that. Boeheim's been coaching
And he had some really good teams.
And he never was able to win.
Won it. Right.
But Carmelo was a breakout. What a joy to watch. If you remember that whole run, Chris, he was having fun. Do you remember? He was just playing
Zion.
basketball.
Yep.
Just playing basketball. It wasn't like I can't do this, or I'm gonna look weird, or you know what I mean, worried about. Just go out and play. His talent was far above all the other guys playing during that time.
Post up,
everything,
mid-range, rebounding, and most importantly, led them to the championship.
No doubt about it, and that's why I wonder.
You could put him up there. There's no question.
I like it, and obviously Zion hasn't gotten there yet, so I can't hold it against him. But what he's done so far is so impressive.
I think
the one knock
really
on him is what, Chris, is that he doesn't have a shot.
Yeah, but his shot isn't broken. That's the thing. Like, you look at his form, it's not like a Ben Simmons or even a Giannis
or Lonzo.
Lonzo.
Right.
But seriously, like, his form isn't terrible. You don't look at it and wince.
It's just not going in.
It just doesn't go in as much. None of it. I mean, RJ Barrett, none of them shoot the three great. They're the worst. One of the worst three-point shooting teams in the country.
How's that going to affect them in the NBA? Like, the other guys, not as much Zion.
Yeah, Zion, the reason, and I think he may have instant success in the NBA because with his jumping ability, athleticism, and strength, size, I think he can finish over most big men in the NBA. There's only a handful, Rudy Gobert, who may challenge him, a few guys like that.
Most guys will get out of the way.
DeAndre Jordan. Well, they may try, but they won't be able to stop him because he can get up so high and he's so strong. And with the floor being spread out the way it is now, remember when, like, the 80s and 90s, the paint, most of the play was around the paint.
No doubt about it.
It was congested. Yeah. Like, when Jordan drove to the hole, it was congested.
And he used to feel it when he went to the paint.
3 and 4 guys defensively in there hammering you. That's not the case anymore. If once Zion beats his man on the perimeter, you're going to be going one-on-one at the rim with somebody, and he's going to be able to finish in most cases. So I think he'll be successful. And then scouts have said, look, you see Blake Griffin shooting the three now.
Yep.
If Blake Griffin can develop a three-point shot he didn't have coming into the league, even Jason Kidd going back a few years, then they feel confident Zion. And you see Giannis. Giannis is developing the shot. Joel Embiid shot 13 threes yesterday.
So why can't Simmons if all these other guys can do it?
A lot of people tell you he didn't work that hard on it in the offseason. Now, he better – hopefully
next year
he better work on it
because
he's
ridiculous.
Limited.
But he has a lot of other talents and can do a lot of other stuff, and you just got to add to your arsenal. You're supposed to come back every year with a little something else, right? You figure it out, go, what wasn't I doing? I didn't go to my right. Okay, I'm gonna work on that. I didn't go to my left. Whatever it was, I didn't finish at the basket. You know what I mean? I had a lot of opportunities, but I didn't finish. I want to be a better finisher. I want to be able to knock down their shots when they sag off me and make them come to me, and I could drive around them once they come to me.
Now, granted, Giannis is like 7 years deep into the league or something like that, so he's had more time. But
still,
Ben should be able to develop it to the point he should be where Giannis is at this point easily. But this summer, I expect him to really work at it. But I do think there's an argument. I mean, and the thing about Zion is he shoots like 68% from the floor. That's the ridiculous thing about it, is that, 69%. Think about that.
But that'll
69. We won't shoot that in the NBA, but still, 69%.
Well, but what did you just say before?
From the field.
He's
6'6".
But you said it. He's a man amongst boys, and that's just the reality of it. To be able to shoot at that kind of percentage is ridiculous. To use your word,
I got to be honest. Ridiculous. As I think about it, and you're right. I mean, if they go out in the first, second round, whatever, or just don't win the championship, you're always going to have the argument for Melo.
Right.
But to this point,
so I
think he's the most dominant freshman I've ever seen. Right now.
I got him.
Touche.
Well done.
Well done. Well played. Well played.
I got you. You know what I'm saying? Thank you.
Well played.
Right now.
But right now, these 2 weeks, no. But, I mean, am I crazy? He's been the most dominant freshman I've ever seen, after Alcindor,
I still want to say Carmelo because of the championship, and it's not fair because Zion hasn't gotten there yet. So I can't.
And Zion does have probably the second best player in the country, RJ Barrett, on his team.
And
Melo didn't have that.
He had, what's that guy's name?
Hakeem Ward,
McNamara.
Remember
the little
shooter,
guard,
but they weren't.
The shooter,
but none of them became.
And that's the difference. Melo. Everybody knew it was about Melo, and he still got them.
Yeah. Now
to
he
a
only shot
championship.
45%, but he was taking a lot more jumpers. He was a different type of player than Zion. But that's something in Zion's favor. But, look, Zion has a better team, especially in an age where a lot of the better older classmen are gone. So, yeah, that's an argument for Melo. It's hard to beat that one, but it's your turn to weigh in. Is Zion Williamson the most dominant freshman in college basketball
or is
history?
this just being the prisoner of the moment because he's right here, right now?
I'm never a prisoner of the moment. Never once have I been a prisoner.
But is it or is it Carmelo Anthony who did it all? Won a championship,
or somebody else. 877-99
and don't call him with Kareem.
Fox.
He didn't play his freshman year.
877-996-6369.
All right, let's start with Jacob in Vegas. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Jacob?
Gentlemen, what's going on?
How you?
What's happening?
Hey, I think you're off base on this one. Zion is a phenomenon, but all of his peers, all of the NBA players he's playing against are freshmen. Chris Webber, on the other hand, played against senior Christian Laettner, senior Jimmy Jackson, senior Calbert Chaney, guys that were seasoned, guys that were older, guys that were more mature, and he dominated all of them. He didn't have to play against just freshmen, or Michigan would have been undefeated.
No, that's fair. That's fair. We talked about that when we compared Duke's final or Fab Four, if you want to call them that, to Michigan's Fab Five. You're right. Their freshman year, Michigan got blasted by 20 in the championship game by Duke, but Duke had a seasoned Grant Hill and Christian Laettner.
Arguably one of the greatest college basketball players, arguably.
And they were upperclassmen, so that's a fair point.
877-99 on Fox.
Let's go to Trevor in Kentucky. Trevor, you're on with Chris and Rob.
Hey, guys, I just wanted to say that I think Anthony Davis is by far the best freshman. When you look at the total game and all-around game, the man averaged 5 blocks a game throughout a season with 14 points and 10 rebounds. I don't think that's something we'll ever see from a freshman again.
No, and what led him to the national championship.
That's Cal's only championship, right?
Yep. He didn't score, obviously, as much, but they spread the wealth. But, yeah, I mean, that's a good one, too.
But it's amazing when you see guys, big guys like that. I brought up Patrick Ewing. In college, they don't nearly score as much. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like some of these
Ewing
guys.
averaged maybe 14
13
as a
or
freshman.
14.
Yep.
And then
Elijah Wine's most he averaged was 16.
Yeah, it was totally different. And even who came after Ewing in Georgetown?
At Georgetown?
Because John Thompson.
Lonzo Mourning.
Dikembe was the other one, and then Lonzo was like the first center that they had, who scored a lot of points.
Yep.
The other guys didn't score a lot. Dikembe didn't score a lot.
I mean, with those two, it was defense.
Right.
Their defense was tenacious. It was tenacious.
No
Let's
doubt
go to
about
Rick in Maine. Rick, you're on with Chris and Rob.
Hey, guys, what about Len Bias?
Well, remember, it's freshman. Not.
Yeah, he had a better second season, but first season, I don't know, second team.
His freshman year, he played 4 years, first of all. His freshman year, he averaged, I'm trying to find it. He only averaged 7 points a game.
Yeah.
Go back to the drawing board. Rick.
Thanks, though, Rick. Thanks for the call.
Thanks for the call, though.
What about Zach in Rochester? Which Rochester? You're on Fox Sports Radio,
New
the Odd
York.
Couple.
It's got to be New York.
One could be Rochester, Minnesota, Rochester, New York, Rochester.
No, it's New York.
Right.
Okay.
Tell him the only Rochester.
There's more.
The real Rochester.
There's a ton of Rochesters.
And Rochester only has a few claims to fame. One of them is that it's the best Rochester.
Is
the
that
biggest
it?
Rochester. Whatever that means. All right,
you got,
go ahead,
Zach?
We need to pull Rashad's basketball card. It's saying Cam Reddish is going to be the best NBA player out of the Duke trio.
That was a stunner.
But yeah, it is a stunner because I think Cam has more shots this year than Zion. So if also too is in the NBA, is he going to play with two players better than RJ and Zion? Probably not for at least 3-4 years in if he's going to be a top 5 pick. It's going to be hard to have that talent. It should be easy to shoot open threes. But, getting back to Zion, I don't think there's been a more dominant college freshman. Maybe better numbers, but C-Webb didn't dominate like Zion's doing. When he's on the court, he does things that, players don't do.
Zach,
that's why I use the word dominant because, You can argue over best, but dominant.
No, I understand.
Just, you know what I mean? Controlling the game. And maybe some of it's the hype, too.
Yeah.
There hasn't been one that I can think of as must-see TV as Zion.
Zach, what about Carmelo Anthony? Does he do anything for you? I mean, his 1 year at Syracuse was pretty amazing.
Well, to lead, like you said earlier, with Boeheim not winning a championship ever until him, he has to get credit for that.
Right.
But I guess you'd have to wait to see until this tournament's over. If Duke doesn't win this tournament, all is for naught. Like, it's kind of like with Bagley and the crew last year. You get all these top freshmen, and if they don't win, it was a great story yesterday, but it doesn't go down in the history book.
No doubt about it.
Those freshmen from Kentucky who went into the tournament undefeated, then lost to Wisconsin, and found Karl Anthony Towns and those guys. They would have went down as a great freshman class. They still were, but had they won the championship.
Hey, Joe in New York, you're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio.
Guys, I love the show. It's one of the best on.
Thank you, buddy. We appreciate that a lot.
David Thompson doesn't get nearly the props that he should. I'm an older guy, go back a long time.
Yep.
When he came out in the 70s, there was no social media. There was nothing. It was just Sports Illustrated. That was pretty much it. But he was jumping out of the gym before guys were doing it. He didn't have the pro career, but back then he was just as dominant.
You know what, Joe? That's a great call.
He was so good that Michael Jordan, who grew up watching him in North Carolina, had him remember he introduced Jordan at his Hall of Fame speech.
That's right.
And he was great in the pros until, he had the drug problem. But he was a big-time scorer in the NBA. He did average 25 points and 8 rebounds as a freshman.
Wow.
So
that's sight unseen.
An ACC Player of the Year at his first year. So I'm assuming he was a freshman. Let's see, because it was his first year. 72-73 was the first year they let freshmen play. So he must have been a freshman.
So 25, that's pretty dominant.
Yeah, he was definitely
Hey, Joe,
dominant.
good call on that. What about
KC and Montana?
Yeah, what's going on, guys?
What's happening?
Hey, man, you guys, I love Duke, I love Zion, but you can't forget about Pistol Pete. He was the original high-scoring freshman, man.
Well, remember, Pistol Pete played before freshmen could play varsity. He was 68-70. So freshmen couldn't play varsity until they were sophomores. Now, he did, to your point, his first year, he averaged 44 points, 43.8. Now, he was the original guy. Guess how many shots he averaged per game?
40.
It's almost 39.
No, 25. He shot the ball like crazy.
My uncle, Pistol Pete was, he was great.
He averaged 39 shots and
39
44
shots
points
a game for 43 points.
That ain't that impressive.
Now, had they had the three-point line, it would have been ridiculous. My uncle was a great player in Louisiana, Xavier University, HBCU. He still holds their all-time record for points per game, 38 a game. And one of the people down there used to say he had the best offense in the state. Some people said after Pistol Pete. Some people said including Pistol Pete.
Wow.
But he was nice. Nowadays, he probably would have got drafted all these teams and rounds of the draft. But anyway, let's go to Rusty in Iowa. Rusty, you're on with Chris and Rob, the Odd Couple.
How's it going, fellas?
What's happening?
Thank you, buddy.
Hey, when I first called, it was all about the debate for LeBron. But
you're going college basketball now.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Who you got?
So, Michigan never won a conference championship, neither tournament or regular season. Yet they went to the Final Four and the title game 2 years in a row. We will never know what this Duke team can do because after this year, everybody knows they're all going to leave after this year. How can we compare them to the Fab Five?
If they win it this year, I think you would agree with me, Rob. We have to say that was the best freshman-led team of all time.
If Duke wins?
If they win.
Oh, no doubt about it. Because winning a championship and only being and 4 players
your top 4 players
are freshmen, that's an accomplishment, especially to win because it's so hard to do it. I would go there. I've had people
everybody's right that the competition isn't what it used to be.
But you can only play what's in front of you. I mean, that's just a fact. Appreciate the call. Thanks, Rusty. What about John in Kentucky? You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio.
Well, I was going to go with Anthony Davis, but there's a couple people that nobody's talked about besides Karl Anthony Towns. John Wall was a dominant freshman.
Yeah, he was.
Because he could dominate ball. I mean, he's not a big guy. He finally learned to shoot late in his freshman year, but I would take him because he can handle the ball.
Over Zion.
Yeah, I would take him over Zion because I don't trust Zion on defense, for one.
Oh, he's a good defender, though.
Yeah, but with his size, I mean, he'll get destroyed down low.
Well, but he can guard on the perimeter and with his hops. I mean, he's not much of a post. You know, there isn't that much post defense in basketball today. But he hustles. He blocks jump shots. He gets steals. Plays the passing lanes. Good instincts. But John Wall, I'm not mad at that. I mean, Derrick Rose was a great freshman. You know, so that's not a bad answer.
No, not at all. Hey, Drew in Nebraska, you're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What you got, Drew?
What's going on?
How you?
Just because he didn't have a good pro career, a lot of people count out Michael Beasley. Averaged almost 27 and 13 a game.
Yeah.
And he did it without two other top 5 draft picks on his team.
You know what, Drew? That is a good call, and it does happen. When you don't, that's why we were talking about Christian Laettner. People don't realize how really great Christian Laettner was in college. Because his pro career, I think he made one All-Star team, and he was on the Dream Team, right?
Good.
That was it.
Which he shouldn't have been.
Right.
Yeah, he was on the Dream Team after college.
Right.
Yeah, that's how good he was, to your point.